Did you say you have one lens only? You're in the right place. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and today we're gonna talk about the newly announced Fujifilm X-H2s and what it means to the market. Why is that important? Because it's a natural evolution for Fuji. So if you're coming from the X-T3, X-T4, X Pro 3, that's a very natural evolution because the standards of the market are requiring the new additional features that this camera will have. And also, if you invested already in Fujifilm Prime lenses, you can keep using them, and you will also get new ones that have been announced together with the new camera. Now, Fuji made a very important decision back in the day to stick with the APS-c sensor rather than developing a new one in full frame. This choice was motivated back in the days because back in the days DSLRs full frame were sensibly heavier and bigger than APS-C's DSLRs, and so Fuji decided that an APS-C sensor was good enough for them to deliver a good image quality. I tend to agree, they did very good cameras, especially price competitive, but with the technology increase nowadays, mirrorless full-frame cameras like the Q2 that I'm using right now to record this video can be as compact and as light as APS-C's mirrorless cameras. So is this a game changer? Yes, of course. For Fuji it is a game changer. They finally catched up with Sony, with Canon, with Nikon for what concerns the autofocusing system and the tracking system. We're gonna discuss in a minute, so just wait for a bit. But what I can see right now is that it's a real game changer for what concerns the video, not for the photo section of the camera. With all the video makers out there using their mirrorless cameras on a gimbal, Fuji finally is back in the game. Because if you're using a mirrorless cameras to shoot videos on your gimbal, you really need to have that autofocusing system and tracking system, whether it's facial recognition and facial tracking or eye tracking like Sony camera. You really need that if you want to have a proper footage. So a long story short, back in 2006 Sony acquired Konica Minolta and started implementing their know-how in technology into the know-how that Konica Minolta had in producing lenses and cameras. And the result is the Alpha series that we all know that was a game changer because they implemented facial tracking and finally the eye recognition, whether it's for people, animal, cars, so you were always sure that your main subject was there sharp in focus. The second to follow was Canon with the newly announced last year R line of cameras. They were able to implement the same autofocusing, the same tracking system. And finally with the Z9, Nikon is back in the game at the same good level of facial recognition and tracking that Sony implemented first. Now, what impact has this Fuji announcement on the category? I've never been so excited for a long time, and honestly I'm not excited about the product itself, but about what it means for the category. So my 2 cents here is that if Sony invented the facial recognition and the eye tracking autofocusing system that has been then implemented by Canon and by Nikon, and if now Fujifilm as well is back in the game with the same facial recognition, with the same tracking system, well, probably that is the new standard. So the new standard for autofocusing systems will eventually be adopted by other brands too. I'm asking myself whether our beloved Leica will implement it too, and if it will be just a software update for the newly launched Leica M11, if it will be implemented in the Leica Q3 that we are all expecting for next year, and what does it mean for Leica to start implementing this autofocusing mechanism that is the new standard, while Leica always had as its core value and its major plus a very good image quality due to the very good lenses they developed. And those lenses were either manual focusing or you could eventually use zone focusing. So I'm using a Q2, but that's a hybrid camera. My cousins using the M series think this is a joke because I'm using technology here, and the autofocusing system on my Q2 is based on contrast, so it's not so advanced. So my 2 cents here is that, guys, be very careful in what you're asking for, because someone out there might be listening. And so if this is the new standard, and of course it will be improved year after year, generation after generation of cameras, in 5 to 10 years maybe AI will take over and photographers will not exist anymore. We will only have very smart items, very smart cameras that will be able to decide the white balancing, the focusing mode, the tracking, the metering mode, and so most of the aspects that made photography unique will be standardized. But that is just a guess, so I'm really hoping to be wrong here, and I would be very, very happy to try this new Fujifilm system. When I decided to downsize from my Nikon system, guys, changing lens and camera system for a photographer is a pain in the neck. So when I decided to sell out my Nikon D750 and all the lenses that I had and switch to one lens only, Leica, it was a tough decision. Nonetheless, I would be more than happy to test the new Fuji and the new lenses that are coming out. They announced the 150 to 600mm, they announced the 18 to 120mm. And also, while this means that Fuji is back in the game with zoom lenses too, well, maybe they should think about making them faster, because I do appreciate a zoom lens that has the same max f aperture throughout the whole range, but if it's f4, well, it's not fast enough to me. With that, I hope that you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on your social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye.